Welcome back to another Reaconteur video, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over some of the worst suggestions in Deepwoken. Talents, mechanics, bosses, just all the worst of the worst, just the stuff that people don't want in the game because it would suck. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure to subscribe, since only about 20% of the people watching this video right now are actually subscribed. And along with that, I'm currently live on Twitch playing the new episodes of Dispatch, so come watch me over there when you're done with this, or just don't watch this and go watch that. I honestly don't care. Do what you want. But with that being said, go watch it. And if you're afraid of spoilers, it's a Telltale game. Just choose different answers for me. Anyway, let's get straight into it. All right, so starting out, we have we have 4 talents here, and they're kind of just crazy Silent Heart buffs. So the first one here is Berserking. That's not a word, by the way. Guard breaking an opponent or landing a critical / flourish lets you fully negate insanity downsides for 15 seconds, scaling with willpower. That's whatever. Now, basically, all of these are kind of just Silent Heart talents, which is why people don't like them. Especially the second one here. At 5+ stacks of rhythm, clear all insanity, wither, posture, and gain 10% tempo. This one's just insane. And it only requires 65 willpower, which I mean is pretty easy to run on Silent Heart specifically. This next one, landing attacks, build stacks of rhythm, which grants small speed boosts. So you build stacks of rhythm for attacking, and every time you get rhythm with the other talent, you get a full posture, insanity, and wither clear, and you get 10% extra tempo. So those both just kind of go together, and it is crazy. Now, the downside to this is that rhythm decays over time, but if you parry or you dodge, it sustains your rhythm more. Easy to just, stay in an aggressive state, because now you're doubly, benefited from being aggressive. And then here is guard breaking an enemy at 50% or higher tempo consumes 15 tempo to do 20% more damage, and it scales up with intelligence / willpower up to 80 total for between both stats. This one's also just kind of crazy, because you're just doing 20% more damage with your next attempt, or a next attack for more tempo. So early in the fight, you're going to be doing crazy amounts of damage. So yeah, these are just kind of crazy synergy talents, and they're really good with with Silent Heart. So people obviously don't want these. Not so great to see that. All right, this one's kind of funny. I know this might seem overkill and annoying. There are still literally echo modifiers that can do what Iron Vow is said to include. I doubt having 2 lives will change much about the difficulty, because in base game, many people prog 1 through 20 without even dying once. I suspect people, nonetheless skilled players, aren't really going to be challenged at all. So Iron Vow will only have 1 life, so no matter where you die, you'll be sent to the Fragments of Self. This one's stupid for a lot of reasons, because he's saying, oh, well, people can progress 1 through 20 without dying, and it's like, yeah, most people can progress without dying, but that's not where most of the problems with dying comes up, because usually progression is pretty easy. People have set progression routes that are generally pretty safe for the people who are doing them. I don't want to be playing Iron Vow and having to fight the new Iron Vow bosses and wiping as soon as I fight whatever new bosses they're putting, because they said there would be exclusive bosses to Iron Vow and exclusive stuff in it in general. So imagine fighting the new bosses in Iron Vow. It's your first time fighting a boss, so you'll probably die, and you just get wiped. Like, no, that's stupid. That's really dumb. Keep the depths in Iron Vow. I don't know what this guy's thinking. I'm assuming he just didn't read the Iron Vow stuff and didn't realize there was new stuff in it, because I'm not fighting new content in Iron Vow and just wiping after the first death in the overworld. That's stupid. Give knowledge upon gripping a player. Knowledge, especially with the new authority origin due to the loss of easy access to a mystic, is crucial for pre-shrine min-maxing. However, there are very little ways to get knowledge that are not late game options. I propose rewarding 5 knowledge upon gripping a player that you would be eligible to take the bounty for. This would fix the problem of having no renewable knowledge sources during prog, incentivize PvP during prog, adding a sense of danger when you see another player, and remove the reliance of Moon's Eye tomes. Now, most people don't like this. Let me explain why. First of all, it just incentivizes not just freshies who are progressing, but people in general to grip freshies, because if you guys remember what happened when luck first got revealed, that was chaotic. People were gripping freshies for luck at power 45 back when the max was 60, and that's just going to incentivize this now, because people are going to start gripping freshies again. Along with that, he's saying it removes the reliance of Moon's Eye tomes, but I don't really think that's too much of a problem anymore with the relic changes that they did, making them not only easier to get, but also droppable, so you could get them super easily from other players. And also, he's saying that there's a problem of having no renewable knowledge source during prog for Shrine of Order, but Shrine of Order is not so popular right now. So, I mean, if you still like Shrine of Order, keep going for it. But all I'm saying is, you don't really need all that. And yeah, this is just going to incentivize people to grip people who are 6 levels or 6 power levels below them, which is stupid. This next one was deleted. So, the original message was deleted, but the title of it was Guild-Based Nerf LOL. So, yeah, So I was able to find some messages and piece some stuff together, but essentially he's saying that the guild maces are too versatile and have too much stuff in them, so that you shouldn't be able to have attunement trainers, you shouldn't be able to have food in there, you shouldn't be able to have mystic there, you shouldn't be able to have the apocryphy worker that merges all your equipment. You shouldn't be able to have a monster mod table. You shouldn't have a crafting table. You shouldn't be able to just spawn there directly after dying to travel back for a gank. I actually think that that one's kind of valid because it's super annoying getting in 6-hour-long overworld fights. And you shouldn't be able to use the banker. You shouldn't have to go to the. You shouldn't have to go there to use the training dummies. You should have to go to the Isle of Vigils to test your damage. That one's stupid. The point is, he's essentially saying remove everything from the guild base except for the barber, and that's the fighting arena. That's all. That's basically all he's letting stay in the guild base. Now, I will say I think guild bases do need a tiny bit of nerfs because I hate when people come back for like 6-hour ganks and then they come back and pull up on 4 different slots in like 30 seconds. It's just annoying. So maybe nerf like spawn times in ganks and stuff like that in some sort of way. But yeah, this is a guy that's literally just saying remove everything from the guild base. This next one is a Voidwalker progression rework, which, by the way, I would like to say the guy who's leaving these is just, oh my god. He's leaving some absolute stinkers in the suggestions channel because he's the same person that said give knowledge upon gripping a player. So let's see if he loves gripping freshies and this Voidwalker progression rework goes along with that. So he said, to anyone who had the displeasure of progressing through bounties with Voidwalker recently, it is apparent that this method of progression is not viable with subpar XP rewards, loot rewards, and bounty locating annoyances. These changes listed will attempt to rectify this. Number 1, attribute point change. Instead of getting event XP and attribute XP on bounty completions, full trainings will be handed out instead. You'll get a baseline of 5 full trainings for a bounty completion. So with an extra 5 per star level, okay, above your own. So you will get 5 points, just 5 straight stat points added to your campfire, and for every star level they are above you, that's an extra 5 points. So 2-star doing a 4-star bounty, you'll get 15 full trainings. So that is 1 power level regardless of your strength. Now, a limit of 15 full trainings can be gained, so 1 level will be imposed total. Any full trainings gained from bounties will be voided upon power up. This is to prevent farming full trainings against new players in Lower Arisia, then shooting straight up to power 20. Next up is bounty locating. Picking ferocity will do the initial spawn ESP every 10 seconds if not combat tagged by you, in case you missed it. Okay, so you get spawn ESP every 10 seconds if they're not already combat tagged by you. So it makes it easier to find people. And then bounty eligibility. Getting taken off the Voidwalker bounty board should be impossible outside of the new player grace period and cooldown. Being able to get off the board just from farming C events is lame. This would greatly increase the availability of bounties during prog and after prog. So he's basically saying nobody should be able to even get immunity from Voidwalkers, which is stupid because even like the new player grace isn't enough, in my opinion, for new players. Because look, new players have like, what is it, an hour or something like that for new player grace against Voidwalkers. You're not going to learn to get good at PvP in an hour. You're not even going to be good at Deepwoken in like 8 hours of playing, because I feel like in 8 hours of playing you might get carried out of the depths and maybe get carried through a nuke fight. Like, nobody who's been playing Deepwoken for even like 8 hours is going to be half decent at the game, which is why I think that Voidwalkers should be less punishing, especially to those people. And then he also wants more relics, and he wants the relic rates to be greatly increased, and he wants everything from the chest that Voidwalkers get to be buffed. Alright, man. So he's basically just saying he basically just wants to grip freshies, is all I'm hearing from this guy. Because he said give knowledge upon gripping a player, and then the Voidwalker progression rework that makes it faster and have better rewards. This guy literally just wants to grip freshies. Then someone else is saying, revert the Grand Sudaruska. The weapon itself doesn't deserve all these nerfs. It was nice that Sudaruska could be wielded one-handed at 830 heavy. I don't know why he cares so much about that. I guess he likes shields and posture stacking, but that was also really strong. With 80 heavy, 80 frost, 6 proficiency, the weapon's critical was dealing 85 damage with a base of 49 per M1. The weapon itself had no pen, no chip, and no useful posture damage. That's a lie. Just a crit that caused guard breaks. That's also just enough. It was a guaranteed guard breaking crit, which is really good. And he's saying that M1s did no useful posture damage, but that's also just a lie. It did like average or maybe tiny, slightly below average posture damage, which is, I think, made up for the fact that it had a guaranteed crit guard break. Even the crit wasn't useful when it hit, because even if it hit, you could press F and parry the second hit, allowing you to attack. In addition, the freeze don't even work, the guard break ends before the crit even ends, and there was little lingering frames to avoid the bug that everyone hated. Additionally, if the first crit hit doesn't land, anyone could walk over it, making it easy and unexpected to attack. So he's complaining that the first crit of his hit would get guaranteed damage, but the second one wouldn't, and he wants it rebuffed. But realistically, like, the only people who were running like full Grand Sudaruska builds were like the people who were also using like Iron Sing, and they would just spam stuff so that way they could get guard breaks, and then they could use like massive damage with everything. And then half the time they were using like Iron Sing Ice, and then they would just chip you to death through ice cubes and stuff with the chip damage. So I think maybe let's not do that, okay? Next one, new attunement plus Gale talent known as Winds of Change. Yeah, dude, a new attunement and Gale talent. Oh, that's such a good idea. They don't have enough of those already. Let's see what this is. Whispers of Change, attuned wind. Requirements 50 Gale and 50 attunement other than Gale. Haunted Gale. Okay, so it's an upgrade to Haunted Gale, and you need 50 in any other attunement. I don't know how that works. Your Haunted Gale now procs the highest attunement you have invested. Alright, well this is already a terrible idea. Effect, Haunted Gale Ghost and Spectre apparitions will proc the effect of your highest invested attunement. Alright, so let's not do that, because then you get, first of all, if you do it with Flame, you get a better version of Twisted Puppets. If you do it with Blood, well, what would Blood really do? Not much. If you do it with Ice, you get Chilling. That's also still just better than Twisted Puppets. I'd rather have Chilling than the ghost that set people on fire. That's honestly just crazy. And then you get Rods from Iron Sing. Yeah, no, let's maybe not do this. This is a terrible idea. Give Wraithclaw the Seabow requirement / treatment. For those who haven't fully read through the update log, the Curved Blade of Winds recently got hit with a pretty big balance change, where the Curved Blade of Winds medium requirement increased from 25 to 40. Now, I'm a fan of this change. I don't think any endgame tier weapon should have less than 40 to 50 weapon investment. It feels strange that the Wraithclaw, the other Gale Legendary, would not also receive this change. Alright, so basically he just wants Archmage to kill all of the current Wraithclaw builds by just increasing the requirement for them. Because, I mean, people who were running Curved Blade of Winds before, right, were kind of, well, they're kind of screwed over by that because, you know, you're doing 300 billion less damage. It's like 30% less damage, but that is a stupid way of nerfing a weapon, because it doesn't even nerf the weapon. He clearly just wants the weapon nerfed in a way that'll kill people's builds, but if they nerf the weapon like that, then all it does is make people remake their builds without actually addressing the weapon as problematic. Alright, dude, this is maybe the most, this is the worst one I've seen so far. Remove Hyper Armor. Dear Deepwoken developers, please completely remove Hyper Armor. It has no place in a parry-based game and only serves to have unpunishable feints or allow people to swing through attacks. Parry stun is high enough to where it's not needed on heavy or anything like Iron Hug or Eclipse Kick. That's just not true. Eclipse Kick would be terrible without Hyper Armor. What are we talking about? If someone does hit Hyper Armor, it's because they predicted a mix-up, and they shouldn't be punished for that. Remove Hyper Armor from M1's, talents, bells, and critical attacks. Keep it on Petra's second crit. Okay, so you're saying remove all Hyper Armor, but keep it on Petra's second crit, Lumen Splitter crit, E-Kick, Multispark, Soulthorn TP crit, and Brace. Almost all these require some sort of previous action, or would be awful without Hyper Armor. Then why remove Eclipse Kick Hyper Armor? That would be awful without Hyper Armor. Remove Matador, Brazen Blow, and Brutal Momentum. Make Warriors swing innate. Sincerely, future Godseeker, not even a current Godseeker, Biggie Bungus, and then he sent in his clips. Let's take a look at his clips. Why don't we watch his clips real quick, guys? You guys want to watch his clips? I do. Oh, well, I can't. Let's see. Can we see this clip? Nope, his clips are down. Now, while I will say, I do really hate Hyper Armor, because a lot of the time I will predict a feint mix-up and just get hit through it anyway and lose the trade for it. I don't think that literally everything should be removing Hyper Armor. I think if they want to nerf Hyper Armor, the best way to do it is to remove it off of spammed M1s. So maybe they can make it like, if you're swinging, maybe like your second M1 applies Hyper Armor, but not the first one. So maybe remove it from specifically first M1s, because then you're only punishing people who decide to play like idiots and spam M1s into someone spamming M1s, instead of, you know, punishing me for predicting a feint and or a mantra, and then I get punished because he M1. So I think maybe they could nerf Hyper Armor like that, but removing all Hyper Armor is just stupid, especially because he was hypocritical about it in general, saying not to remove it from things, but then saying, oh yeah, remove it from Eclipse Kick, that'd be fine. No, Eclipse Kick would be trash without Hyper Armor. Alright, someone here, by the way, this is the same guy that just said remove Hyper Armor. I'm just guessing that this guy plays a bit too much Type Soul. Ascended Resonance / mode / Bonkai / PvP endgame content. Add Bonkai to Deepwoken. I think Bell should be expanded upon, and I think modes would be a really cool way to do it. This suggestion adds Bell evolutions as a boss rating mechanic. The Fragments of Yun Shoal. New consumable relic gives you a new ability known as Shatter. Really rare from chests, extremely rare from chime chests. Bankable, drops on death, and you can pass it down. Upon use, disintegrates into dust, gives you a mode bar which allows you to use an Ascended Resonance. Pity on that, the ability or the new tool known as Shatter would shatter your screen like Dread Whisper and spawn Belvy effects around the user for 3 seconds, dealing 750 PvP damage after resistances. Oh, my bad. I didn't finish that. Dealing 750 damage after resistances to enemies at power 20 would fill up the mode bar. Thank God, I thought it was just gonna deal 750. It would also require you to do 1000 PvP damage in the depths, and it would decay if you're not fighting. The mode bar would reset upon leaving the server, wouldn't be filled up by hitting allies, and being healed by Link Strider would lower the bar by double the amount of health you were healed. Upon usage, it would stain you, give iframes, and stun you for 2.5 seconds, and give you a 75% health pack. Using it in the depths would give you max insanity, and a 60% health pack and disable voiding. So there's already a super easy counter here, because just pop Ardor on them, and if you have all the Ardor stuff, you just kill the guy that pops his Ascended Bell instantly. Whatever. It would last for 90 seconds with every knock adding another 15 seconds, and when the mode ends, the user is guard broken for 3 seconds and the resonance shatters, making them unable to use it for a 1-hour cooldown. Downsides: adds 15 drowns, puts you on every bounty board. This fucking sucks. Alright, but he does have very specific ones. So for dimensional travel, your M1's TP to your opponent, leaving Kamui bubbles from where you were to your opponent, 3-second cooldown, 2 range increase. 2 range increase? 2 range increase. Does he know how much 2 range is? 2 full range? Alright, whatever. Gives a 15% damage buff, 10% speed buff. Stupid. Weapon and lag removed. Stupid. User resonance would be disabled. Teleportation. Teleporting is instant / near instant. Everyone around you has a teleport marker placed, and then 10-second bell cooldown, unable to teleport beyond 300 studs. I don't think he knows how much 300 studs is, because that's kinda really short. Teleportation circle size greatly reduced. Gives a 20% speed buff, 5% damage buff. That doesn't even match the bell, but whatever. Blood Scourge. Every basic attack heals you for 33% of the damage dealt after resistances. That's insane lifesteal. Healing caps at 10 for each attack. Critting a knocked person instant executes them. Executing someone extends the mode timer by another 8 seconds. Executing gives you a Reaper health pack. User resonances would be disabled. Disables viscosity. Crazy slots. Every 3 M1s your weapon swaps. Crazy slots would last for the mode duration. Rolls between 4 buffs. 4 buffs, which would be either 10% damage plus 2 range. This guy does not know how much plus 2 range is. 40% more weight, and 20% speed boost. Can roll the same buff back to back. Weapon scale off your highest investment weapon stat. Using the bell would use the weapon's move to swap and swap to another weapon. Gravity field would create the Dude, I'm done reading this. This is so shit. This is so shit. Oh my god. What are we even talking about? That's so dumb. Alright. Let's read one more here, because the last one just kind of sucked everything out of me with how terrible it was. Bloodrend and Shadowcast lack alternate paths currently. This suggestion seeks... Bloodrend and Shadowcast lack alternate paths currently. They have one, though. Seeks to remedy that in a way that fits the rest of the attunement alt paths. Bloodrend literally has the most paths in the game, unless he means Bloodrend and Shadowcast specifically together don't have one, but they literally do. But I guess we'll read this. Introducing Disease Path. No, he doesn't, because he's literally talking about... Okay, I guess he means single attunement paths, whatever. Introducing Disease Path. Sickness Path, Harbinger of Disease. Turns blood mantras a pinkish red color. I would expect it to be like a green and a red mixed in there, but you know, whatever. Blood mantras inflict significantly less blood poison and blood damage, but inflict stacks of disease. Disease will inflict debuffs when reaching certain stacks. 3 stacks, minor damage debuff, 10%. Okay, first of all, 10% is not a minor damage debuff. That's not only pretty significant for the... you know, the first thing that happens to you, which, like, that's just crazy. 10% at 3 stacks. You get hit with 3 mantras, now you're doing 10% less damage for the whole fight. That's insane. 6 stacks, speed debuff, 15%. Yeah, that's, at least it didn't put minor speed debuff there. But, you know, that's also kind of crazy. That's not nearly as important in Chime of Conflict, but in Ganks that'll be insane. 9 stacks, defense debuff, so 10% incoming damage increase. You know, that's just stupid. And at 10 stacks, daze opponent, stacks stop refreshing until they wear off. So they're just dazed permanently? What, like, what? And the stacks stop refreshing until the daze wears off. So does that mean that once the daze is away, or does that mean they're permanently dazed? What are we talking about here? Either way, it's stupid. Debuff scaled down when below 40 blood. Wow. Stacks will fade after 5 seconds. Oh, okay, so if you get hit with 3 mantras in 5 seconds, you're doing 10% less damage for at least 5 seconds, assuming you don't get hit, up to 10 seconds at 100 blood rend. Oh, so if you go maximum blood rend, it doubles the effectiveness. Yeah, okay, that's really dumb. Infected wounds. Basic attacks now inflict stacks as well. Okay, I thought it would be stupid on mantras. Basic attacks now inflict stacks as well. Half a stack per M1. Cool, man. I can't wait to see dagger blood users abuse this if it ever gets added into the game. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be. Raging infection. Guard breaking an enemy doubles the applied stacks from the attack. Oh yeah, cool. Can't wait to see that. As well, when stacks fade, inflict a generous amount of blood poison which scales with blood investment. Same as 2 landed mantras without the path at base. Up to double this at 100 blood. Oh, that's so nice. Lightheaded, rare, 80 blood, 60 strength. Uppercuts and uppercut mantras now prevent enemies from venting for 3 seconds. Scales down to 1.5 seconds of strength requirement, not meant. Okay. Plagued Heart, 100 blood. Needs all other talents besides lightheaded. Landing a critical on an enemy with 5 stacks of disease or more consumes the stacks and activates Harbinger State. This also gives temp HP equivalent to 5x the stack number. What? Whoa, whoa, whoa. 5x the stack number. So if you have 5 stacks, you get 25 extra temp HP. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it was. During Harbinger State, you move faster and proc all blood poison related talents no matter the blood poison of the enemy. Each stack adds 5 seconds of Harbinger State, 3 seconds of requirements not met, max time of 30 seconds. Alright, let's not add this. Yeah, no, let's maybe not do that. That's quite literally like the strongest thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. I think that is a terrible suggestion. And with that being said, I would like to say thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed these awful suggestions. They are surprisingly fun to read through despite how absolutely atrocious they are, because man, they are very bad. Like, these are worse than I thought they would be. With that being said, though, I'd like to give a shout out to YouTube members Green, Brick, Pickle, Goobka, High Card, Philip, Wizzy My Tizzy, Axelor, Flying Noodle 559, Simply Mo, Elstern, Fun Guns, and Carlia. Those are all my YouTube members that I'm giving a shout out because they're tier 2 or higher. You have to be at least tier 2 for the shout out, sorry guys. But if you guys want to listen to my song covers, which I actually just dropped one like yesterday, and I'll be dropping another one this month, then buy a YouTube membership because YouTube members of all tiers have access to listen to my song covers, and YouTube keeps telling me that they're listening to my video transcripts and they want me to advertise memberships. So there you go, YouTube, stop bitching at me. Anyway, I love you all regardless of your membership status. Have an amazing day and goodbye.